straight. First of the things I'd like to admit today, I was wrong to try to talk Arnold out of running for governor 7 years ago. And he was right not to listen to me. The fact is, I didn't want Arnold to run because I myself didn't like growing up in a political family. I was the one who was afraid that something would happen. I was the one who was afraid of the unknown. When I expressed that fear to my mother back then, she said to me in no uncertain terms, "Do not ever stand in the way of a person's dream. You can go ahead and say what you think, but then shut up." She went on to tell me, just let it unfold. Let it play out. You're going to learn a lot about life and yourself in the process. And then after Arnold won, she said, "Now you have a job to do. Go and do it, and do it well. Finish it properly, and when it's over, you can move on to something else. In the meantime, I don't want to hear another Yamagio." Well, it turns out that my mother was right, because I have learned a lot about myself and about life in this incredible process. And it turns out that Arnold was right to follow his dream and to run. He has loved this governor's job more than anything he's ever done in his life. And it turned out to be a perfect match for his intellect, his love of people, his passion for public policy, and his competitive streak. I've never seen him happier or more fulfilled. And even with all the ups and the downs in the last 7 years, he said if he had to do it over again, he would in a heartbeat. And I believe him. I never thought I'd say this, but I thank him for not listening to me. As to what he's going to do next, don't ask me. Remember, I didn't know he was going to do this in the first place. Second on the things of the list of the things that I was wrong about, I was wrong to think our children couldn't handle it. The truth is, our 4 kids have shown me more courage and tenacity and resiliency than I could ever have imagined. I thank them for not doing anything really wild and crazy these past 7 years that would have landed them in the papers or on TMZ, unlike their mother. Without being told, okay, maybe once or twice, I did talk to them individually, they understood the responsibility that comes with being kids of the governor. And they have handled it all with grace and incredible good humor. And somehow they all survived living in a house with a John McCain poster on the front door and a life-size Barack Obama cutout in the living room. The result is we have 4 kids, 1 Republican, 1 Democrat, and 2 defined states. There's so much I know they will miss about the last 7 years, but perhaps most of all, they will actually miss the California Highway Patrol. And seriously, I want to take a moment to offer my deepest gratitude to the men and women of the CHP who have protected, our family 24/7 for the last several years, and they have become part of our extended family. And it is an understatement to say that we will miss them tremendously. But it's time. Catherine and Christina have already moved out and are now in college. Patrick's 17 and looking at colleges himself. And Christopher, well, it's hard to wrap my mind around it, but my little baby is now a teenager in middle school and taller than me. They're all moving forward with their own lives and their own personal passions. I still tell them what I think, but they also know that they're free to pursue their dreams, just like their dad. The third thing I was wrong about, and this is a big one for me, I was totally and utterly wrong about being First Lady. I had it wrong, all wrong, right out of the gate, that election night 7 years ago. I remember it like it was yesterday because it was such an out-of-body experience for me. In the blink of an eye, my Hollywood husband had become governor of California. Even Arnold, surely the most confident man in America, was stumped. So there I was, standing next to him in front of that cheering crowd, smiling and waving. But a little voice inside of me was screaming, "What in the name of God just happened? This is a disaster." Even though I am a child of politics, I was way out of my comfort zone. Not simply because I was standing in front of a crowd of cheering Republicans, although that was a little bit different for me. I was really out of my comfort zone because I knew that the life I had been living, the life I had planned, the life I had made for myself, was about to turn inside out and upside down. You know my story by now. I was a working broadcast journalist and I loved it. I had published a couple of books. I was raising these 4 kids and I weighed all of 114 pounds. But let's not go there. I was in control and I felt like my life was on track. And then whammo. So needless to say, I came into this job bitching and moaning about everything. I worried I wouldn't be able to simultaneously make my parents proud, support my husband, uphold my family's legacy, and keep my kids' feet on the ground. I moaned very loudly about losing my job at NBC News, my paycheck, and I thought my identity as a working woman. I whined I didn't want to be called First Lady. I thought I'd pass out if somebody asked me to cut a ribbon. And I burst into tears when I was told that my job was to design the governor's Christmas ornament. But today, I know I was wrong about it all. Because I have learned that the role of First Lady, which has no job description, no instruction manual, no guidelines, no hard and fast rules, forces you to define not just the role, but yourself as well. In other words, figuring out what kind of First Lady I wanted to be and what kind of impact I wanted to make challenged me to figure out what was truly important to me. And the fact is, through these past 7 years, with all the doubt, the confusion, the fear, the sadness, the times of feeling empty and lost, I learned plenty about myself. I learned that if I just keep picking myself up and doing what I was taught, I'll be more than fine. I learned that when I use my voice the way I believe it was meant to be used, to help women who feel disempowered, to help families who struggle to balance responsibilities of work, children, and aging parents, and to connect people with one another, I feel valued. And I learned that having the job of First Lady is a privilege, a blessing, a joy, and an incredible opportunity. It has been an honor to work with the dedicated men and women in the First Lady's office, the Governor's office, the California Museum, and the California Volunteers. And it has been the privilege of a lifetime to work on this conference with a team of people who get up every day and want to make the world a better place, a more compassionate place, a place where all of us feel seen and valued and connected. I have met people on this journey that I know will be lifelong friends of mine. This conference has become the nation's premier forum for women, for inspiring them, educating, and empowering them because of the people who work on it, the people who speak at it, and all of you who support it and sponsor it. You've made it possible for this conference to underwrite year-round programs that enable girls to go to college and women to start their own businesses. You've made it possible to get women out of poverty and to get them medical care. You've made it possible for them to leave domestic violence situations and rebuild their lives. Your activism has raised money to fight Alzheimer's and to help the intellectually disabled. Through this conference, you have recognized women who are some of the most incredible architects of change in the whole world with the Minerva Awards, which not only honor them, but also help them continue to do their work, which I always say is on the front lines of humanity. As for myself, the job of First Lady has transformed me from the outside in. Back in 2003, when I started, I really did think of my self-worth as being defined by the family that I was born into and the roles that I played. A Kennedy, a wife, a mother, a daughter, a sister, a friend, a journalist. And in many ways, I often hid, like I'm sure many of you do, behind those labels. As a journalist, I was a messenger of other people's truth. In this job, I've had to find my own. Today, I think of myself first and foremost as a woman, standing on her own 2 feet as herself, trying to live a life that is both authentic and meaningful. And these last 7 years have helped me come into my own voice and to find my own way. In recognizing and growing into that voice, which is really important and good for me, and at long last I realized I don't have to fill anyone else's shoes. It is enough to fill my own shoes. I've also grown incredibly comfortable